Good morning, everyone. Today, Maria talked us about data and how and why and how they process data. So today I'm gonna share my data with you, and actually I'm gonna share my little story. So I'm Thanos, and I was born almost 32 years before in a small town in the mainland of Greece called Tripolis. Does anybody of you knows Tripolis? Please raise the hand. Okay. I didn't believe that so many people could know Tripolis in Cyprus, but yes, it's Tripolis. It's a small city that it's quite famous for the independence race, actually, for Kolokotronis. But now, the most productive industry is the public sector. Yeah, but like Kolokotronis used to ride his own horse and do the revolution, I was doing my own revolution using my own white horse. And I didn't really ride the horse, but my first views was from a lab. This is my father, and these views comes to my mind when someone talks me about the childhood. And looking at my father, I would like a monkey to be like him. So I'd do things like this and trying to develop. So I imagined myself like a developer. But what kind of developer? In 2000, when the Millennium Bug arrived, I was a geek. I was working all day, all night on my computer, doing things and repairing PCs or building websites in the very early stage of the web. Later on 2004, the Olympic year, I started with some of my friends running a radio station. So my father asked me, I had very good grades in the college, in the high school. And he asked me what you would like to get as a gift for that. Do you want 200 euros, or would you like to help you to set up a radio station? So I chose the second one. So we started to run hit radio, a web radio and FM radio station in Tripolis. So we had some listeners in Cyprus too. So from Agia Napa and Paralimni, some listeners came from that place, and it was my first touch with entrepreneurship. So we started running conferences, like events, festivals, or parties with that radio station, and that was my first touch with entrepreneurship. And about the same time, I continued to ride things, so I've started cycling, and riding a bicycle, it's like the life. So I learned how to ride the life at the same time by riding a bicycle. So the second 2007, I've had to go to the university. So I choose the place to be with thinking about where is the best place to do cycling. So I went to Chania, to Crete, and I studied in Technical University of Crete. Chania, you probably know, it's a very beautiful place. So the university I didn't like the university courses, so I had to find something that could really drive me to do things. So I started doing projects like all of these that I'm sharing with you. And learning of failing, too many fails, too many lessons to do, and started in places like that. It's quite difficult for anyone to say, okay, I can make it to the next step. The network it's quite short. The opportunities are less than being in other places. So in 2012, we started in the university running some actions in order to make the ecosystem, the local ecosystem, more entrepreneurial. So we started doing things. And in 2015, you probably remember the capital controls. So we launched the organization called the Youth Entrepreneurship Club in Crete in order to develop the Greek startup ecosystem. We started very locally, so we started running actions in Chania, then we moved to all Crete, and the last year we done amazing things. We done too many things, and we were scaling up, and we are registered as an incubator. We have supported too many startups, and suddenly we had the big elephant in the room. So someone arrived. It's a common friend of all of us right now, and make us to think of how the things could be better for everyone and what's next and what we have to do with that situation. So we have everything planned for Startup Greece Week 2020 as offline events, and we were ready to run 6 events in 6 different cities in Greece. But when COVID arrived, we have to transform it and to decide what we are going to do. So we decided to go live. So we've run an event of 132 speakers with a reach of 1 million people called Startup Greece Week, and it was the version of 2020. There we've seen that Greeks all over the world wants to contribute and to help the situation in Greece as far as concerned for startups. So we've seen too many people that would like to help Greek startups make their next step. So we make, with that feedback, we started to create the Greek Startup Universe. So the Greek Startup Universe was a program that had our mission was to democratize access to the best startup resources, like funding or network. So we realized throughout, and as you could see on my presentation, we realized that being in a city or in a place that the opportunities are less than being in another city. So imagine someone that was born in London and someone that was born in Paralimni or in any other place in Cyprus. The opportunities are not the same. But using the virtual place, everybody could take the advantage of the technology and really get the value and the opportunity that it needs. So we created Greek Startup Universe, a program that ran the previous semester, along with Cyprusino from Cyprus, in order to bond the relationships between Greece and Cyprus, and in order to make it bigger. We had the support of US Embassy in Cyprus too, and too many other stakeholders all over Greece and other communities from all around the world, like Greek Tech and other organizations from the US or Australia. So on that program took part about 300 startups with Greek founders from all over the world, from Asia from Australia to Chile, from Chile to Canada, and all over the world. So on that program, too many opportunities. We give opportunities to the startups in order to make their next step. 30 of them had very good progress into our program, so we gave them the access to some angel investors, and actually 3 of them get funding from them. So the story, it was a really difficult event in order to do it and to make it, but it was a success. So we realized what about doing in scaling it up in a European level. So this year we are going to run, we are working on doing in 2020 the European Startup Universe in order to help every single startup founder all over the Europe and connect them with the diaspora of Europeans. So imagine for an audience and a target group of about 1 billion people in the world having access to the best startup resources like network and funding. So this is what we are doing now, and we are going to scale it up on European scale. So we believe that talent is universal and opportunities are universal too. Join us on the tour on that initiative at thestartupuniverse.org. Thank you a lot.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you, Thanos. So let's get some questions. So, can we get the questions? Okay, 1 second. If you didn't ask your questions, you can ask them now. So we have 2 already. The first one, can you give us the characteristics of a startup? How do you define it? Good question.
Okay, so startup. What is a startup? Let's start with the definition. So startup is a project that uses the technology in order to scale it up. So everything that an idea or a project that it has to use technology and have a very, very high growth in shorter time, it's a startup. So that's the characteristic that I could tell someone that is a startup.
Which VCs do you work with?
We are open with every VC in order to work with, because we want to democratize access to these startup resources, to funding. So every startup could match with venture capitalists or angel investors. We are working mostly with early stage VCs, so we would like to give opportunities to hidden opportunities to the VCs.
Okay, thank you for that. And one more question. Do you help startup write a business plan? Do you help them with their pitch?
Imagine that we are working, European Startup Universe had to work with 300 startups. So it's not so easy. I think it's not so easy to help them write a business plan. But you can find in European Startup Universe or in our platform, you can find the people that can help you write a business plan, or you can find educational material, or you can get some perks from the best tech companies, or you could share your obstacles with other startup founders throughout the platform. And of course, you can have access with some of the best top investors of the EU right now, with the Greek top investors before, and also with the top Greek founders before, and now with the top European. Do you offer mentoring? I will.
It's okay, he took my job. I'll go off stage.
Okay.
Go on.
Okay, thank you. So on that program, you will have the access, and you could connect with the people that are committed to support you and give you mentoring, or really wants to help the startups on that program. So join the startupuniverse.org, and we will announce the dates quite soon. It will start in March. Right now, we are building the co-organizers. So every country will have a local co-organizer in order to make it happen.
Okay, I'll go for the next one. So, Yannis asks, which are the main differences between Greek Startup Universe and European?
So it's a scale. So we are going to not focus in a country, but in all European countries. Like I've told you before, it will be a program for each country alone, and you could find more people from Europeans, not only from Greeks, because the Greek Startup Universe were mostly from Greeks to Greeks. So everyone who was inside was from Greek diaspora, from the Greek world, actually. And now we will have the European scale, so you can find more Europeans into that program and opportunities like that. One more difference that we have with the previous program that we have run, it's, of course, it's much long, it's much, you can understand that now we are waiting for 10,000 startups to part on that program. So we would like to make it as inclusive as possible and give the opportunity to everyone. And the other difference is that we are going to provide some workshops into that sessions. And in the previous version, we didn't have workshops inside. So that's an ad that we are working on. And of course, we are building the platform in order to facilitate all this thing, and the experience will be much better for everyone.
Great. Okay, our last question, which I believe it will be partially answered by our next speaker. How can we encourage kids to start an idea up? How did you experience the radio station stages?
I think it's the most amazing experience for me, looking back the time. So it was something that it was really cool, and I hadn't realized what was me, and now I'm looking at the past and say, okay, I was doing this thing, so I'm doing the same thing right now. Why I did so many circles in my life? Why I studied engineering? Why all of this? And I found myself of being and doing this radio station. So how we could encourage kids in order to do that? So we have to show them some great people in order to inspire them. That's why we provide these kind of top founders in our programs in order to inspire everyone to do things and start. You can start small, but you, of course, scale it up.
Great. Thank you very much, Thanos. It was great having you here. Give it up for Thanos, ladies and gentlemen.